Every other month or so, Squat University posts a tutorial about the kettlebell swing. And every time he posts it, I have to react to it. While his instructions is clear, precise, and easy to understand, I also want to share another perspective.
But before we begin, are you over 40 and you're looking to enhance your kettlebell journey with our Superflow kettlebells to optimize your training experience? High quality Lebe stock apparel for a great look and feel during your workouts? And best-selling kettlebell courses that handle the programming for you? Then click the first link in the description and use the code YouTube to get 10% off.
Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe Stark here. The kettlebell swing is one of the most popular exercises when it comes to kettlebell training. Squat University this time around recites Pavel in its demonstration video. And while I think that Pavel has had a major impact in the kettlebell world, just because I wrote a book on it doesn't mean that this is the end all be all. Matter of fact, his first swings are the worst swings that I've ever seen. And maybe this calms everybody down who's so focused on technique, because when you're starting out with kettlebells, it looks off. And funny thing, as a side note about Pavel, you would think that in this video, he was already a master, but it seems that he wasn't, because a swing like this is not a proper master technique. And we can also say that the swing has been developed throughout the years, but we have to understand that even in the 1960s and 70s, when they started with kettlebell sport championships, they knew what a swing was and they knew what a swing looked like. So let's check out the video from Dr. Aaron Horschig from Squat University. Now, what the girl or maybe even the guy in the video is demonstrating right is the proper setup. Always make sure that you take at least a step back before you get started with the kettlebell in order not to waste your first rep.
Here's a few more tips on how to perfect your kettlebell swing from master instructor Pavel, who literally wrote the book on how to do these.
Pavel's book that Squat University is referring to is probably simple and sinister when you combine the swing with the Turkish get-up. Now, there's a completely different way on how you can do the kettlebell swing, which I'm gonna demonstrate in a second. But here's the thing, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, just because you wrote a book on something doesn't mean that you are the master expert for this particular exercise.
After you hinge to get down to the weight, think about keeping your shins vertical as you hike the weight between your hips. Then form a completely vertical line at the top. So it's vertical shins at the bottom and completely straight line at the top of the swing.
Now, from my perspective, I never think about my shins and I never think about keeping my upper body as upright like this. And here's an interesting story about this dude that Squat University always refers to when he demonstrates the swing. The dude keeps his knees locked, but as you can see, his hips are not pushed forward. And when it comes to the kettlebell swing, it is an exercise for your posterior chain. So it focuses on the hamstrings and the glutes. So think about pushing your hips as far forward as you can and keeping your abdominals tight so you don't overextend or hyperextend your spine at the top.
At the top of the swing, you're going to tense your glutes hard and drive your feet into the ground. This is very violent action, like throwing a punch. So exhale violently at the top.
While forceful exhalation is a good idea, violently squeezing your glutes at the top can cause problems in your lower back. We've seen this in practice with some people who have a very sensitive lower back area. Dr. Stuart McGill even mentions this in his scientific paper about the kettlebell swing, that this violent movement may cause problems and may irritate issues in the lower back for some people. Now let me show you my preferred version of the swing, which I call the hand-to-hand swing. Watch. Now my setup is the same like the one from Squat University. I hinge, I have the kettlebell approximately half a meter in front of me, I pull the kettlebell towards me so that the base is off the floor, and now I pull the kettlebell between my legs, and then I push my hips forward, and I want to hip thrust the weight upwards, not forwards. And at the top of the swing, I'm switching hands, and I make sure that I grab the kettlebell in so-called OK grip, where I don't grab it with full force, but I just grab it with my fingers. I exhale at the top, I inhale at the bottom, and that's the hand-to-hand swing. The reason why I made this video is twofold. Number one, I want to show you a different perspective of kettlebell training, and in particular to the kettlebell swing. Number two, I want to calm down this notion that you always have to have perfect technique in order to achieve solid results with the kettlebell swing or with kettlebell training in general. A little while earlier, I belonged to the technique and form brigade as well, who told everybody that technique has to be perfect. Yes, technique is important, but it's not the end-all be-all. There is some grace, especially with kettlebells, since these weights are moderate or light compared to a barbell. So you can exhibit bad technique in the beginning as long as you improve. But perfection at the end of the day is not necessary if you want to gain some solid results.
Here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share it with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells, and sign up for Kettlebell Plus to get access to hundreds of follow-along workouts, dozens of skill lessons for the best kettlebell exercises, and access to the global Lebe community. Or click the first link in the description, head over to our online store and use the code YouTube to get 10% off your next purchase.